What's up, everybody? This is David Liz, director of The Welder, and welcome to the You Run podcast.
Yeah. Got a little bit of gasoline. I'm gonna make it burn. I'm gonna make it burn. Let's go.
You are now listening to the You Run podcast, the only horror movie review podcast completely run and controlled, not by me and Marc, your hosts, but by you, our listeners.
Hey, Scoob! We're on the radio, bro! You wanna die tonight? Zoinks!
You choose the movies. You score them. You review them. You do it all. Because after all, this is not our show. This is your show.
I'm your number one fan, Mr. Man!
It's not perfect. It has its problems.
The You Run podcast.
It was just weird. I don't know. I guess like a weird thought.
The You Run podcast.
Bitch, you better not forget about me. Don't you ever forget about me.
Hey, this is Naomi Grossman, best known as Pepper from American Horror Story.
Hi, it's Imitation Dave. Buddy, you son of a bitch.
Just make sure you fucking listen.
This was fucking incredible. He's the one you need to blame.
Got a little bit of gasoline. I'm gonna make it burn. I'm gonna make it burn. Let's go. I'm gonna make it burn. I'm gonna make it burn.
Hello, and welcome to the You Run podcast. My name is Scott, and this is a very, very, very special episode of the show. Not only am I reviewing a movie that is not out until this summer, so none of you will have seen it, but it's also the first episode that my new full-time co-host joins me. Now, I've been looking for a co-host for a long time, and when I started looking, I wanted a lot. I wanted someone who knows all about horror, who's well-informed, who's charismatic, charming, and most of all, someone that you would all love. And after 4 seasons of searching, the search is finally over. I realised that person doesn't exist, so I got you, Marc, from MW Horror Reviews instead.
Oh, I thought you was genuinely being nice to me then. I was blushing a little bit.
Well, you are all of those things. You are.
No, trust me. To be honest with you, I'd feel more uncomfortable if you were actually being nice.
Joking aside, you are those things, and I think we're going to set a precedented tone of how we openly pick on each other. I think is going to be the new tone of the show.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to take that sort of direction. It's weird because I've been on this show countless times. I'm back all the time. I genuinely feel a sense of nervousness about this.
I don't know why, because you have appeared more than anyone else. I think you're up to 9, including YouTube and lives now. 10, maybe more.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know why. It feels more official this time around. Well,
maybe it feels more official because you also won Guest of the Year on the awards episode as well. So the pressure is definitely on you.
Yeah, I have a lot to fulfill. So wish me luck, everybody.
With being co-host, you get responsibilities and you get shit you need to do. And with that in mind, I'm going to give you something to do straight away because I don't want to do it because I can't do it.
Okay.
So as everyone knows at home, we've been doing a giveaway for a copy of Misery, and thanks to Heather, a copy of my feet pics and a signed photograph as well. We've had 2 people we've already played on the air, and we've had another message in. I'm going to play you all 3, Marc, and then I'm going to get you to pick who you deem is the winner. So you will know all of these people, and any backlash you get is completely on you. It's your problem to deal with. Welcome to co-hosting.
Oh, right. I see what you've done there. Nice.
So we'll start with the first message.
Oh, Scott, it's your number one fan here. Elise, horror review girl, you simply have to give me the book because I want to read it after your episode, and I'm your number one fan, Mr. Man. Come on, Scott.
I love Elise.
I do as well, and well, she's in the running. The second message we have is from our first guest on season 5. So if you don't choose this person, she's going to be the first person to be able to actually have a complaint that you didn't do it. So let's play the second message for you.
Hey, Scott, it's me, your number one fan, Lady fucking Crisis. Seriously, that episode was hilarious. You and Heather always crack me up. But I am your number one fan, and I deserve that fucking misery book. And when I win that book, I don't want just your autograph. I want a picture thrown in there of your beautiful, gorgeous, well-groomed feet. Yes, I need that foot photo. I need it. You know, I was thinking about Crazy Fans, and one of my favorite Bill Murray movies is What About Bob? And the one scene that came to mind when I was thinking about how much I wanted this book was when he says, I'm doing the work. I'm baby stepping. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I need. I deserve that book. You know I do, Scott. Love ya.
Okay, so that's Lady Crisis, and we've had one new message in, and this is the message that's going to make your life incredibly difficult. So I'm not even going to tell you who it's from. I'm just going to play the message, and I think your nerves will start twitching straight away.
So look, okay, I love the You Run podcast. It's literally my most favorite podcast to listen to. Been on the show. Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking. Obviously, you can tell by my accent. It's me. It's Heather, formerly with Wednesday Wine and Horror. That's all up in the air, and that has nothing to do with the message right now. The whole point of this message is to let Scott know and the world that will listen, because I'm a huge fan. I really want that fucking book. I want it. I feel like if I lived closer, I would probably try to come steal it, but I really want the book too. I don't know if I can say I'm your number one fan. That would make me seem kind of crazy, right? But like, I still kind of have emotional damage from the Twilight stuff. So basically, I just need the book to make me feel better. Okay, y'all? All right. Talk soon. Bye.
Oh, what a legend this Silman is.
So
I think I'm going to have to give it to Heather. I think I'm going to have to. I mean, she definitely needs something to replace those Twilight books with. And I feel like she would be the most appreciative of your foot pick as well.
yeah, and she kind of brought that on herself.
She did. She encouraged it, knowing that she was going to enter the competition, I feel.
Do you think that's what it is?
I think so, yeah. I think this is the whole ploy. So I feel it would be cruel not to give her the award she so desperately craves.
Do you think she's got a second account and it's actually her asking me for feet pics?
I wouldn't put it past her.
Well, there we have it. Officially, as picked by new co-host Marc. Heather, you are the winner of the book. I will be in contact shortly for your address so I can send it to you with a picture of my feet and a picture of my wonderful, beautiful face. You poor, poor person. I'm so sorry. Don't forget, you can call into the show, not just for a giveaway, for whatever the hell you like. If you want to ring in and welcome Marc to the show, if you want to ring in and say, why the fuck did you get Marc as co-host? Marc won't mind. Whatever you want to do, you want to ring in, you say, I want you to review a movie. You want to critique a movie. You want to say something about something I said on an episode, because I quite often make mistakes. It's really, really easy. Go to yourunpodcast.com, click on the record a message button, and it's really that simple. It comes up, record your message now, hit record. I will play all of your messages on the air, regardless of what you say. It depends on what you say. I may put a disclaimer first, but they will all get played. Please do it, because it's brilliant fun for me and Marc, and it's great for everyone to listen to. And we have a reasonable amount of people who call this show, and I love it. So if you've sat there before and gone, oh, I should call, but I can't be bothered, or oh, I should call, but I don't know what to say, just call. Even if you just make a noise, just call and I'll play it and I'll say who you are. If this is the first time you've ever listened to the show, or if you've listened to the show for a long time, I think maybe I should do a refresher a little bit about me. And then I'm going to let Marc tell you a little bit about him and what makes him tick as a horror fan. So for me, I love pretty much all horror. I really, really, really like psychological horrors. But my favorite type of horror movie is possession or paranormal entities. Effectively ghost movies, but good ghost movies, not shit ones, because there's too many shit ones. I have very, very little tolerance for torture movies. I'm not into the whole torture porn thing. So if you pick one of those for us to review, chances are I'm not going to enjoy it and I'm going to moan like fuck. And I hate This is something that not many people. I hate spoof horror movies. Things like Scary Movie are the worst thing in the world for me. I cannot stand them. That's a bit about me. Mark, what do you like?
Well, I mean, it's no surprise that I am a diehard slasher fan. I mean, the more mindless and stupid, the better for me, I think. And especially the lower B budget sort of end of the scale is what I seem to find myself more drawn to than anything else. But I mean, one of the main reasons I started my page was because I found myself stuck in that sort of niche, just watching those kind of films and searching for those kind of films. And I've sort of tried to broaden my horizons more. So I'm on a horror journey, if you will, trying to uncover things that I haven't seen before. I'm staying well away from possession films, as much as you were trying to push me in that direction. It's not my cup of tea. I just don't find any interest in it whatsoever. I was pleasantly surprised by The Exorcist, though, so I will take that on board. But yeah, and I'm with you as well with the spoof horror thing. Comedy horror has to be done right, and if it's not done right, it can be absolutely dreadful. And spoof horror is one of those that really doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, and there are some good ones out there. For example, Shaun of the Dead, Anna versus the Apocalypse. Brilliant.
I think zombie films in particular lend itself well to that sort of humor. I don't know what it is about the genre, but it seems to. I usually find when I do like a horror comedy, it is usually zombie based.
Yeah.
I struggle to find it in the slasher genre. I mean, I've seen quite a few that try and do it, but it's never really sat well with me.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, you've got The Return of Michael Myers,
which is one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces ever put to screen. I hope we get that on the show soon, because I feel like I really need to just declare my love for that on the air.
you need to get that out of your system.
I do, yeah. Gareth from Video Tasties messaged me today. He was on about doing a watch party in the summer on his projector in the garden. He's like, "What film do you want?" I was like, "You even need to ask. I want Halloween 4. Make sure it happens."
While we're getting stuff out in the open, you revealed something to me today that amused me and also devastated me at the same time. So anyone who goes back and looks at, go and do it. Go and scroll back through our episodes, and you'll see there's a picture of Mark that's used quite regular on the episode covers. Last time used was on The Exorcist and on the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the bonus episode. So it's a relatively recently used pic. It's quite a nice pic. Mark's smiling. He looks lovely. Do you want to reveal the secret behind that photo?
I don't think I do. No. Do we really need to talk about this?
I think it definitely needs addressing on the air so everyone knows what they're getting.
Right. Well, I mean, I was at a wedding. I was very drunk. I'd gone to the toilet as I do. And Scott messaged me and was like, "Hey, well, how's it going? How's the wedding?" So at which point I just sent a drunken selfie with a smiling face, not knowing it was going to be used for promotional material throughout the rest of the season.
So basically, I've got a photo of you with your cock in your hand, just not that part of you.
I was going to say, yeah, let's just get this clear. You don't have the photo of me with my penis in my hand. You have a photo of my face smiling while I am taking away.
Which I'm not sure if that makes it better or worse.
No, I'm not sure either.
But I am going to continue to use the cock in hand Mark photo for promotion of the show.
Well, at least you all know now. It's out there. Fun fact of the day.
Fun fact of the day, and I'm sure there are a couple of listeners that will be very excited by that fact.
I am sure we can figure at least one of them out, yes.
Yeah. Well, introduction's done. Let's talk about why we're here. So earlier last month, me and Mark got the privilege to pre-screen a movie that is coming to streaming this summer. We've both had the opportunity to pre-screen movies before, independent movies that have been offered to us to look at and to put on our show or for Mark to review. And 9 times out of 10, I'll be very polite and I'll say, yes, I'll watch it, and I will watch it. And I go, they're okay. This is the first movie ever that knocked me for 6. I was so shocked at the quality of the cast, the story, the cinematography. It literally blew me away. And I've watched it multiple times now in the lead up to this show. And the movie that done all of this to me was The Welder.
It happened again last night.
Oh, sweetie, don't tell me you were sleepwalking again.
It's becoming more intense.
You need to find a healthy way to de-stress. Because if you don't, you're not gonna like who you become.
See this badass ranch online? Go out there, have a little stress-free activity. And if you decide you don't want to come, that's fine, because I'm just going to take your mom with me instead. Solo time with your suegra. Is this guy really nice?
Do a lot of people go missing around here?
I mean, there's more cows than people out here, so if one person goes missing, everybody freaks out.
This house has a history, man.
Someone was killed here?
We don't take too kindly to your type sort of things. You know, like how your dad tried me the first day you brought me home.
I've been guilty of many sins.
See all this art that he has in here?
But I found a way to cure the blight of racial hate.
Good morning.
Sorry about the odor, by the way. Don.
Yes, doctor?
Don, I want you to meet Eliza.
And what's up with Mr. Godwin anyway? That's a strange dude.
Mr. Godwin was a good doctor. He's sane.
You take cow's heart, lungs, and liver and cram it all into a sheep's stomach, then you boil it. It's remarkably delicious combined together.
Mr. Godwin, what's behind that door upstairs in that room you were in?
I'm a bit of a collector.
I like to collect Blu-rays, DVDs, all types of movies, man. What do you like to collect?
Parts.
Creation will be from everywhere from now.
You're just gonna be perfect for my little experiment.
First of all, we ain't taking part in no fucking experiment. And second of all, what's this obsession with race, man? You're a fucking closet racist.
What did you call me? Unity is the answer. The end of division. The welding people as one. You know, good parts are hard to find.
Now, I think it's a good place to start by saying The Welder is not out until later this year. So it's coming to streaming in the summer. For the most part, this will be a spoiler-free review. We're going to give you enough of the movie that I'm sure you're going to go and want to watch it. And we're going to reach a point and I'm just going to stop because I'm not going to tell you all of it because I want you to have the same reaction that I did and I'm sure Marc did when he watched it. When we reach that point where I just cut it off, I'd make it a really short, shit episode. And I'm not going to do that to you. So we have got David Liz, the director, and Vincent De Paul, one of the lead actors in this movie, are coming on. And me and Marc are going to interrogate them about The Welder and everything we can possibly think we can get away with asking them without them telling us to fuck off. But Marc's got some choice questions about smoking weed on set because that you want to know.
I want to know, yeah. I mean, we see it happen in films all the time, and you always question. They look like the type of people who probably would. I know they're just in character, but I always wanted to know what it is that if it's not weed, what are they smoking? Yeah,
because it's the acting in this, because they smoke a bit of weed in this, or they smoke something that appears to be weed in this, but the acting after the weed smoking is fairly accurate from my memory.
Yeah, and let's just get this clear. This isn't a stoner film. This happens in one scene, but it's just piqued my curiosity. They don't go around smoking weed throughout the majority of this film.
This isn't Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
No.
However, that is an excellent film, and I recommend you all go and watch it. The movie opens up with us meeting. Is it Eliza or Eliza? Eliza?
I think it's Eliza, but I'm not quite sure either. It depends on who's speaking about it.
Well, we'll go with Eliza, and then David Liz can tell us we're idiots later.
Yes.
So we meet her and her boyfriend Ro, and all is not well in their relationship. She's dealing with some past trauma, and they are having a pretty. It's not a rough ride. It's just one of those things that happens in relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's just relationships are give and take, aren't they? There's never always 100% from either side. So I think it's just more a case of she's dealing with some stuff, and I think he's maybe hitting that point in the relationship where he's getting a bit fed up of being along for the ride, and they're struggling together to be able to deal with it emotionally and decide the best thing to do is have a break, not from each other, but away together to get away from everything.
Yeah, and I think at some point all of us have been at that point in a relationship where we've gone, do you know what? The world is just fucking doing my head in. Let's go away for a weekend.
Yeah, I'm desperate for that break myself right now. Take it now before the Russians take over.
Yeah. So we're recording this on the 25th of February. So if this hits the air and things are very, very different, please accept our apologies for any comments we may make about Putin and his evil reign of terror that he is currently raining down on the Ukraine and the rest of the world. That's the first and only time I will ever get political on the show. I've never done that before, but he's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's a crazy world we're living in at the moment.
Well, 2022 had to outdo 2021, and we only had COVID in 21. So
yeah, China had their turn, and now it's Russia, unfortunately. So we'll see. We'll see what they carnage they bring for the next 2 years.
Yay!
Yay!
But
Yay.
we'll get past it. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
But they decide to book their weekend getaway together, and they decide to go to Russia. No, they don't. They decide to go to an isolated ranch in the arse end of nowhere. Now, the ranch has got ATVs, horse riding, a pool. You see pictures of it while they're looking for it. And I liked the way they done this. I've not seen it in a movie before.
No, I mean, it was cool, and I like the way that as soon as he booked this, you see what is suspected our main antagonist of the film. As soon as a booking is made that they're going to stay at this place, the first thing he does is he puts their names, the characters' names, into social media to try and get a bit of background on who they are and where they're coming from and all the rest of it, which was a unique take for me. You don't often find such a clever use of technology in films these days, and I like the way they incorporated that. Yeah,
I did, and I like the fact that he sat there and he booked it on his phone, and after he booked it on his phone, he spun the phone round and he was showing her pictures of where they were going, and it's exactly how I would book a weekend away for me and Lisa. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's a very real approach, and I appreciated that about this film. Yeah,
I did. They start taking their trip, so they go by train, then they get to a little town after they get off the train, and they have a wander around and they get a drink and some other bits, and then they get in a taxi and continue their drive out to this remote ranch. This movie done something that I've never seen done as well, and I've genuinely mean that. This movie showed you how isolated they were, and you really understood as the viewer how far away they were from everything.
Yeah, and I mean, half of that is done by some of the most incredible drone shots I think I've seen in a film. You get some of the most beautiful aerial shots of the location and the surroundings, and it looked absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about the cinematography and direction of this film. It looked amazing. It really did.
Yeah, it really, really does. So when they do a panning shot and they start with on top of the taxi with the drone, and they just go up and up and up and up and up. And then to prove that they're not just showing you that bit, they then pan the camera up on the drone to show you what's around. They really filmed this in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and it looks beautiful. It really does. Some of the most amazing shots and scenery shots I've seen. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, really, really good. On arrival, when they first get to the ranch that they're staying at, that they're walking in, and Ro is again Googling about the property. They're doing the same as we would be doing, finding out a bit, just being nosy. And he finds out that there's been a death at the property, and the property doesn't quite look like it was advertised. It's a lot more run down, and it's
untidy and gritty, and dirty, if you will, compared to the glossy images you see on the phone when he first books the hotel. Well,
Yeah,
can you call it a hotel? The ranch.
Yeah, and I've had that with hotels where you book something online, you get there and go, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, do I actually want to stay here, or do we just call it a day and go home?
But they go in and they decide to get settled down because it's getting on in the day. There's not really much they can do now, and they find a note from Mr. Godwin which basically says, "Make yourselves at home. I'll pop in and see you tomorrow." And they go to bed. And when they get into bed, you get a flash of light as they switch the light off, and stood in the window is a person in a welder's mask, and it's lit in this kind of bluey white light, and all that flashed in my head was Halloween.
I never thought of that, but I like that. I can see it now you mention it.
It's a very, very Michael Myers-esque quick flash, just enough to see him and you go, "Oh fuck, what was that?"
Yeah, I mean, I really did like that. I mean, obviously I'm in construction, so I'm used to working around welding gear, and I really liked how faithful the color screening was to this. Whenever you see these moments on screen, it was very I can't think of the word to say, really. It was very realistic of the color tones you would see when a welding kit is on display. It looks good.
Again, I really liked it. Moving into the next day, this is where things started to get. So up until this point, it's quite a happy movie. It's a couple who are having a bit of a rough run, and they decide to have a weekend away. The next morning, we meet Mr. Godwin, who's played by Vincent De Paul. This is possibly the most awkward, uncomfortable 3 minutes of viewing I've ever had in a horror movie.
Yeah, it's not nice to watch, is it? He's a very, very strange man in the scene.
And I've got to ask him how he done that, because even to act that awkward it must be impossible.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to not break character in that moment. I mean, I'm not a professional actor by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like even in that situation, knowing what he was doing and the character he was portraying, to be able to stand there straight face without even laughing out of awkwardness would have just been so difficult for me, I feel.
Yeah, so let me set the scene for you all. So Mr. Godwin knocks the door holding a rooster. They open the door. It's early in the morning. They're a bit dazed and confused. He has a very, very long, awkward handshake with Ro, and then another long, awkward handshake with Eliza, while looking them up and down. And when they kind of get to the point where they go, "Okay, thanks for popping in," he then goes, "The horses are the best in the morning." And nothing else. He's wanting them to push the conversation forward. And in the end, they go, "Okay, we'll come horse riding with you." And he still doesn't go. He just stands there staring at them, and they kind of close the door on him and go, "We'll be with you shortly."
Yeah, it was very awkward. Like, it made me very uncomfortable watching it. I was like, please just close the door.
Yeah, the thing is, they did drop a little bit of humor in there, which made me laugh, where Ro turned around and said, "Like, I'm really sorry, we might seem like we're coming across rude. I'm just not used to a man knocking on my door at 7 o'clock in the morning, cock in hand."
Yeah, I like that. I did like that.
But it's super, super, super uncomfortable. But they get up, they get dressed, they go to do the horse riding, and they ride the horses round for a little bit. After they've ridden the horses round, Ro gets on an ATV and goes for an explore, and he leaves Eliza with Mr. Godwin, and they go and meet Don, who's the ranch hand,
the very smelly ranch hand who repeatedly has to be apologized for by Mr. Godwin at this point.
Really sorry he smells.
Yeah, pretty much, without pointing the finger. He claims it's a farm and things around here stink, but it's clearly Dom who is smelling profusely bad at the moment.
Yeah, and Dom, again, is another incredibly awkward character. I think the only way I can describe him is the brainwashed character from Us.
Yes, yeah. I got a lot of Us and Get Out, but I think it's Get Out you're thinking of it.
Oh, sorry, Get Out. Yeah, it was Get Out.
Yeah. At this point here, you do get quite a very Get Out kind of vibe from this and the direction you feel like it's going to take. Let me just say clearly now, it definitely is not the direction you're going to expect it to take.
But throughout this movie, there was multiple times I thought it was going various different ways, and none of my guesses were correct where it goes.
No, even maybe 10, 15 minutes away from the end, I still wouldn't have been able to tell you what was going to happen.
No. And they do such a good job of not telling you what's happening, but you're so engaged, because I spent all the time going, why is that happening? And it drags you in. And I think the musical score helps as well, because it's a very bassy, deep, almost like an exorcist-y like undertone that I tell you what it made me think of when the first sort of half of this was it kind of had a Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe to it.
Yeah, I got that, especially when they first arrived at the ranch and they go into the room and they have all these sort of like, I think they're African. I don't want to sound like time saying it, but I think they're like African artifacts all around the room in which they're staying in, and they do have a conversation about how he must be a well-traveled man. But you feel the sense of sort of the way when you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre and you go in and there's the bones everywhere and all the rest of it. You get that vibe when you're in that room.
Yeah,
it feels very much like that.
There's like a sense of dread all the time you watch this. There's the sense of dread that you know something is coming, but you're just kind of sat waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, it's just how relaxed and everybody is around each other. You're waiting for that snap throughout the whole thing. It does a very good job of building tension and suspension throughout.
Yeah, it was a very, very uncomfortable watch, and I like that. This is the sort of film that I like, that just makes you think and makes you question everything. After they've done their day's activities, they both return back to the ranch. Roe reveals that he went on his ATV ride. He rode as far as he possibly could and then rode back again, nearly running out of fuel, and highlights again that they're nowhere near anything. Even like going as far as he could on half a tank, he was still nowhere near civilization.
Or signal or anything.
Yeah, or signal. I think at one point he got a brief signal and he gets kind of a garbled phone call from...
It's a very choppy sort of intro. Yeah.
They really are isolated. And then Eliza opens up and says that Mr. Godwin has given a bit of information about the property and about his wife. So his wife died or was killed. Did he say was killed on the property?
I'm not too sure. I think he mentioned that she died on the property, but he didn't go into detail or say whether she
go into great detail. And one of the things here that's raised that, again, I liked the way it was done. So Eliza is a Latina character. Would we say I don't know if she's Mexican or Puerto Rican, but
I wouldn't like to categorize it, but I think you could she's Latino, I think.
Yeah, and Roe is black. And they were having the discussion, and Roe's instant thought of Mr. Godwin was he thought that Mr. Godwin was like a redneck racist. That was his initial take on him.
Yes.
And Eliza's like, and his wife was black. And
and you see his face change. You're like, really?
Yeah, and again, I was surprised at that. I liked the fact that they kind of frame Mr. Godwin as your stereotypical white man of that age, and he's really not. And his wife was black, and then she died on the property. After that, they smoke a bit of weed. They have a bit of fun and frolicking, pissing about in the swimming pool. They go to bed. When they get up in the morning, it's about 1 billion degrees in there.
Yes. No AC, no electric. Everything is very hot. Yeah.
And again, done really, really well, because the reaction is a genuine reaction. Yeah. This is bullshit. I'm going to see Mr. Godwin.
Yeah. And they arrive at his house and start banging on the door for answers to no answer, to which they decide to enter anyway, unannounced, and have a little snoop about.
Yeah, and they have a wander through, and they wander into, or Eliza wanders into a back room, and there's a locked door in the back room, and that door is banging like fuck, like there's someone in there. and she screams and sort of turns, and Roe comes in. And just as they're about to open the door, Mr. Godwin goes, "Can I help you?"
Yes. Just in
And
the nick of time.
just in the nick of time. Just at the point I thought I was getting answers, they got taken away.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my frustration too. I was like, no, that was it. That was that was our inkling into what was going on.
But he's really polite, and he's like, "Okay, well, let's come downstairs and we'll talk about your heating issues."
Yeah, and Ro reacts exactly how you would imagine him. He'd be like, "No, fuck you. What is going on? We've no heating, we've no electrics. We don't need your shit.
Yeah,
sort this out now. Do your job," kind of thing.
Yeah, we've got no Wi-Fi. We've got nothing. It needs to be sorted out. And Mr. Godwin's like, "Look, okay, I'm going to get it sorted. We are isolated. It's going to take a little while. So how about while we wait for that, you come and join me tonight for dinner?" And Rose's reaction is the same as mine.
Yeah, fuck you. You haven't got time to be cooking food. Get the power back on.
But this was the point where I realized that Eliza is like Lisa, fucking too nosy for her own good. And she wants to go for dinner because she wants to know what's in the locked room.
Yes. And I think I would as well. I think I would be Eliza in this situation. My curiosity would have got the better of me, and I would be like, yeah, I'll be here tonight.
See, and this is why you would die. And I would
immediately, yeah. I know I would never last 5 minutes in a horror film.
No, whereas I would be back laying in the pool waiting for the AC to come back on. Drinking a beer and smoking a doobie, quite happy. So they go to dinner. The dinner mirrors the high level of awkwardness at the beginning.
Yes, and one thing I want to draw attention to here is, I'm going to say this as carefully as I can, because not only have I upset Texans already, I don't want to offend Scottish people, especially with Elise being a close friend as she is at the moment. But what the fuck is the deal with haggis? Who eats haggis?
I've never partaken in haggis.
I have, out of curiosity. This is why I die in films. But I have eaten haggis. It is awful. It is absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, and all that goes through my head is it So I Married an Axe Murderer, that where Michael Myers describes what it is?
Oh, I don't know. I've seen
and
that.
He's like, it's you get sheep's liver, lamb's hearts, blah blah blah. Stuff it all inside a sheep's stomach and boil it, and that's what you. I was like, fucking no.
No. It sounds absolutely disgusting. I mean, it is. I've tasted it. It is not very nice at all. But it looks just as dreadful as described in this film as well. And even Ro looks at it as if to say, I ain't eating this shit.
No. And after that initial awkwardness, they actually have a fairly normal conversation, but it dips onto a subject that's quite delicate in films. And there are very few directors who will dip into race in this way. Jordan Peele is one. There are not many others I've seen who will go to the levels that David Liz did in this movie. And it goes on to the conversation of race. And there are some brilliant lines in there from Mr. Godwin, where he's talking about how he feels that race is not an issue, and it should no longer be an issue. They should end division, and they should weld people as one and make this one. And Roe at this point is like, yeah, fucking right on. I'm 100% with you. Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm thinking he's actually not an arsehole.
Yeah, I too completely changed my perception of this guy at this point. I was like, surely he cannot be the antagonist in this situation. He must surely just be here by unfortunate circumstances too.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I was thinking it was Dom, the stable hand, was the bad element. Because at this point, you still have no idea what the bad element is. But I was convinced it was Dom.
Yeah, I had no idea. So I was pointing the finger at everybody who was on the screen, if I'm honest with you.
But Eliza says she's going to go to the toilet. And she does the standard horror movie trope of, I'm going to go to the toilet. And she doesn't. She goes straight up the stairs, straight to the back room. She sneaks in, she gets to the door, she opens the door, she steps in, and she comes face to face. And that, folks, is all you are fucking getting. You must wait until the summer.
Oh, I'm surprised you have any listeners left. You're such a cruel man.
Well, I can't. From here on out, it would ruin it.
It would indeed, yes. I think this is a pivotal point in which you need to stop listening, not literally to the show, but
Yeah, no,
tune out.
don't stop listening. We're not going to tell you anymore now. So.
No. But this is a turning point in the film which everything flips it on its head. And I think for us to divulge any more would be inconsiderate of, especially since you haven't seen it yourself yet.
Yeah, and you won't see it until this summer when it comes to streaming. And I want you to watch this and have the same feelings as me and Mark, where you're going, fuck, when it turns, because it really does turn on its head multiple times, actually.
Yeah, continuously right till the end.
Yeah. Highlights of this film for me are it's brilliantly directed.
Outstandingly,
yeah, I mean, so good. The cinematography in this movie rivals any top flight horror movie.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I thought it was absolutely beautiful to watch from start to finish.
Yeah, really, really strong cast. Vincent De Paul as Godwin and Camila Rodriguez as Eliza being the highlights for me.
Agreed. Yeah.
Both really, really, really good. This is the first 100% original horror I've seen for a while.
Yeah, it does some very unique things that I haven't seen done for the best part of a decade, I would say.
Yeah. And there is lots of nods to other horror movies, which I'm not going to tell you any of them. Go and find them.
Yeah, really, or you can pick this apart all day long. And they're not necessarily homages. It's just clear that whoever has done this and created this really loves horror.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
But as we can't talk about the movie anymore, I think it's probably best we get the people in who can talk more about the movie, because they know how much they want to tell the world. So without any further ado, let me welcome director David Liz and actor Vincent Paul to the You Run podcast. So now it's my great pleasure to welcome Vincent De Paul and David Liz to the You Run podcast. Hi, guys.
Yo, what's up? What's going on, guys? Happy to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you both on the show, and I feel privileged to have seen something that no one else has seen yet. I feel very, very selfish.
You know what? You're special. You don't have to feel selfish. You guys are special. You guys got to see this movie before everybody else.
I'm genuinely honored. I'm going to start with you, Vincent, purely for the fact that your portrayal of Mr. Godwin is absolutely petrifying.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
How do you go from, because I'm looking at you now and you're smiling and you're happy, and to go from that to how you portray Mr. Godwin is incredible. You are so talented, it's untrue.
Thank you so much for those kind words. A lot has to do with the book or the script. The script really are the footnotes to everything. And so when David Liz and Manny Delgadillo scripted this, they layered it with direction and so forth. So it helped me, the talent, be able to not act, but behave. And the thing that I love to do is not do anything that's with artifacts, but actually behave as if I'm in the Redlands in South Florida, and I am I'm put through this plight of dealing with the struggles that I deal with. And so thank you for saying that, but I try to make it as organic and natural as possible and try to figure out if this person was going through these struggles of losing his wife and having to deal with racial differences, what would he do?
It comes across really well. And I think me and Mark agreed when we done our pre-recorded bit earlier, when we were talking about the first real scene we get to meet you, when you knock on the door and wake them up cock in hand. That scene is probably one of the most uncomfortable scenes I've watched in a horror movie in as long as I can remember.
Thank you so much. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and my father had roosters, cocks, stags, hens, and he raised them, and I learned how to take care of the chickens. So when the director David Liz said, "Oh, by the way, can you handle a fighting rooster with spurs on his hand, and can you keep him calm?" I'm like, yeah, I actually can. And so, when I was in Cardiff and when I was in the UK, I have done movies in Wales, in Swansea and Tenby, and then I was in Cardiff. There was Sir Benjamin Slade's home, and he had the same roosters pictures, paintings from England from, I guess, the 1910, 1920 that my father had in his home. And roosters are something they're an amazing animal, and that eerie energy with the rooster in hand, cock in hand, because he was a fighting cock, he had spurs, dealing with first introduction of Dr. Godwin with the two characters, Roe Dunkley and Camila Rodriguez, who played it flawlessly, their characters. It was that awkwardness that I thought, and the pregnant beats between each time and the pauses between each time that I thought really worked. So thank you for that compliment.
And Vince, do you remember like when we were filming that, I kept saying longer, hold it longer, and then you were like, you had like the instinct to like look away, go no, keep staring.
Yeah.
It was like this, like, and it went really long. Actually, in my first cut of the movie, that scene was like a minute longer because I was like really like cringy, and like I would like cringe when I would watch it. I reduced it after like getting some feedback and stuff, but that's what I wanted. I wanted people to feel like cringy, like what? This is so odd and weird.
It was so uncomfortable to watch, and I remember saying to Scott how as actors, I just don't think I would have been able to fulfill that role, because I would have just broken character immediately. I wouldn't have been able to help myself but laugh just due to the whole awkwardness of the situation, because you genuinely feel it when you're watching.
I love that scene. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I really like that, and I like the development all the way through of all of the characters. So in a lot of horror, you get a character, and that character is that character from the opening scene through to the end. That they have an arc of a story, but they don't have any real development. Whereas all of the characters go from one thing at the beginning to when they get to the end, they're all very, very different characters from when they started. They're completely different people, and all of the cast portray that very, very well. There is not just an arc of the story, but there's a real character arc and real distinct changes from when we meet Mr. Godwin at the beginning to when we meet him at the very, very end of the movie. They're completely different characters, and that is unique. It genuinely is unique.
Again, that comes back to the script and how the script kind of articulated in a non-articulate way, articulated what the journey was of him and what he was going through. And I think the audience gets to see why he is the way he is. And it's not his fault he's this way. It's just that he has lost love. And because people lose love or lose something, they become this way or they become that way. And so I'm happy that his journey is so that we get to see all his different colors and all of his different angst and all of his different struggles, and we understand why he is this way. And I've had a lot of people that have watched it, on private links and so forth, send me messages and said, the way his psychology is so much the way someone who had problems would have behaved, that someone that had some psychological damage, they would have behaved that way. And also that I've had loved ones that I've lost, and I've dealt with that same kind of energy. I wasn't as extreme as your character, as what but yes, that same and really is it's a thriller, psychological thriller, and a true horror film. So there's all those different things going on at the same time. Yeah.
Have you always been drawn to doing horror, or are you happy to drop into any role? Where does you, as an actor, where does your love lie? What type of movie is it that you like to do?
Certainly. So I do all different genres. I've done adventure, I've done rom-coms, I've done family films, holiday films. I have done a few horror films. This one just struck me so much because David Liz I worked with before in a project called The Soiree, and he sent me the script based, a lot on an homage to Dr. Frankenstein. Shelley, is it Shelley Godwin? What is her full name, David?
Mary Shelley.
Mary
what
Shelley.
Is the full name of?
Godwin is the name of her grandfather.
Right. So
we got the name Godwin. It's or maybe it's her father. One of those. I forgot now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's her full name. So we wanted to homage to her. And when I read the script, I'm like, you're kidding me. I have to cut up body parts and weld them together, all these things. And I'm like, I've never read a script like this. So I was compelled to do it. And so I was laying on the beach in Malibu, and I was reading the script, and I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then I flew 3,000 miles from California to Miami, and then I started shooting, and it was such a roller coaster fun ride.
Is that where you guys filmed
I
this?
didn't know that,
in Miami?
Yes.
Go ahead.
In my Florida, which is the Redlands, the Everglades, South Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that we picked up on was how well you made it come across that they were isolated. It wasn't just a case of they're isolated. It was, you could see they were isolated. I know Marc has got some severe love for the way you done that.
Oh, the drone work in this is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. Some of the best I've seen. I absolutely loved it. And I can remember the first watch, I immediately messaged Scott. I was like, are you seeing this? This looks incredible. Are you witnessing this? This is amazing.
Oh, man.
Drone shots
that was,
are like...
No, that was... Yeah. So go, Vincent. Sorry. I just get excited when we talk about the drone stuff because we spent so much time trying to get that right. We went through we used 3 different drones when we throughout the whole movie because one drone crashed. Actually, 2 of the drones crashed. One of our drones, which was the big Kahuna drone, we had purchased this drone just for the movie. And we crashed it basically on the first day. And then we had a friend that had his own drone come out, and he crashed his while, in the process of shooting some of these cool shots. And then the last drone, that one survived, but there were definitely 3 drones used and to capture everything that I wanted. Because that's what I want. I needed there to be space. I wanted it to feel isolated. No matter how far you ran, no matter how far you drove, you weren't going to find help. And that's how this guy's getting away with all this, right? Because it's the isolation.
Yeah, and that definitely came across. You felt it from those scenery shots. It really was a standout for me. I thought it looked absolutely phenomenal. The cinematography alone was top notch. Well done.
And that
Thank you, Marc.
The wonderful DPs, but also pre-production. That means scouting locations, that finding that eerie house, that Redwoods house that with petrified walls.
Oh, yeah.
The walls were petrified wood from 100 years prior. I mean, it's young in comparison to UK, but this was a very, very, very old home. And everything, the texture, the patina on the roof, the patina on the windows, the patina on the door, everything lent itself to make it so cinematic. And that is for all those indie filmmakers out there that are going to be making their film. Spend your time in pre-production, spend your time location scouting, spend your time in finding out what the aesthetics that you want, spend your time making your lab the most eerie lab that you've ever seen. Look at past books and so forth and past movies and borrow from those ideas and make it your own.
You know, and that house, it's owned by a little old couple. They're the nicest people in the world, and they embrace the creepiness of their house. So it's you know, they and they learned their lesson, because actually in like the early 90s, a production that was scouting Miami that was going to shoot the first Ace Ventura movie with Jim Carrey, they went to the house, and it was like it was worse. It was like pretty dilapidated, and they loved it. They wanted to film there, but then like a hurricane came through, and they cleaned up after the hurricane. And so when the production team came back, everything was clean, everything was nice, and they were like, "Oh, what happened here? We liked it when it was messed up." And so they ended up not filming there, but they learned their lesson. They're like, you know what, productions think our place is creepy. Let's let's embrace it. And
so you didn't have to enhance that in any way. Then you literally just
let me tell you something. As a indie filmmaker, like one of the flaws in other productions that I've seen from other indie filmmakers is they just don't have the budget to make their set dressing, their art design. There's no money for it, and I get it. You know, it's hard to get funds for this kind of stuff. So like finding this house that was basically just ready to shoot already was, I mean, it checked off the box, and it really just helped give texture that higher budgeted films tend to have, because they have the money to, you know, just do this from scratch. But this house is just like that, and we were just so happy. I mean, we spruced it up a little bit. It wasn't like as creepy like on its day to day. We did it like amplified a little, but they had 90% of it already.
Yeah.
They're so nice. They're like 90 years old, and they were staying up with us until 2 a.m. when we were filming, and he was just like so gung ho about it.
That's so cool.
You know, I gotta give them the Coppolos.
The Coppolos.
Mad props to the Coppolos.
that is really cool. I mean, when you filmed on location, how long did you film for? Because when you look at it, it looks like it took a long time to do it. But was it a short shoot? Was it quite a grueling shoot? Because you obviously had high temperatures where you were. Was it a hard shoot to do, or did everything go to plan?
All right, so we shot this in a 9-day period. We shot this in 9 days. Principal photography, yes, very short principal photography period. And it was grueling. It was hot. It was the summertime. There were bugs. I think that our physical suffering was happening. It was there, but we were so focused on getting the movie done that like it didn't matter. It almost didn't matter, and it was a very harmonious shoot in general. We didn't have too many. Once we were shooting, we didn't have too many monkey wrenches in the system. That's why we were able to get so much done. But also, we had very long days. We had a couple of, and I hate to say this, guys, because it's not safe, but we did have a hotel close by, so we didn't have people like, you know, even, and also just because the location seems to be far in the middle of nowhere, it actually really isn't. That's like the secret, right? We made it, you know, look like it was more isolated than it really was. But you know, we worked 16-hour days a couple of the days. I mean, it was definitely tough, but everybody had these high spirits, like great energy throughout the entire thing. Even though physically we were suffering and we were sleep deprived and we were hot and we were dehydrated. I mean, we were all going through like a gallon of water a day. It was tough. It was like a physical, like one of our UPM, Javier Palacios, lost 20 pounds in 9 days, like just from how much he was sweating.
in South Florida, it's tropical, and so as a result, it's oppressively hot, and so you tend to just shed water weight, and so I lost a great deal of water weight as well. And then they had an outdoor shower, and so I would go out and do the outdoor shower, and then go back into wardrobe because I just needed to cool off. It was so hot. The one thing that it was 9 days, but it was the pre-production that was very special because we would do table reads. And so all of our characters knew who we were. We knew our intention. We knew what we were going to do. And we would call the other actors, which was Ro Dunkley and Camila Rodriguez, who played Liza / Lisa and Ro. We talked to each other on the phone and ran lines. And so no matter what it was on those 9 days, we were prepared for whatever was going to happen. So we got the call sheet and we're like, okay, we're shooting that scene. Sure, we have that scene because we've been practicing it over and over again. The very nice thing is that this production, thanks to David Liz and to Cindo Santos, our producers, we stayed at the beautiful Marriott, which was nearby. And so we would go after those long days and go to the Marriott and decompress and then back to the set each day. So 9 days, but they were jam-packed and we were prepared for whatever was going to happen on those days.
And we live in the UK, so we get rainy weather here daily. So for us to watch you go through that, it was uncomfortable for us as well.
No, definitely. And I will just echo what Vince is saying. I don't think we would have been able to do the 9 days if we weren't as prepared as we were. For a small production, we were very prepared. Not only the actors with having their lines, but we had a really detailed breakdown script and a line script, and we were we're very good about that part. So because we knew we didn't have the money, we're like, hey, we got to get this done in 9 days. All right, so we better be prepared and we better get it done. I mean, it was necessity, really.
Yeah, 9 days just makes it even more impressive. I would have said a minimum of 5 weeks shoot for what a bare minimum.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I've seen big budget horror movies, and me and Mark have had this conversation already multiple times. I've seen big budget horror movies with huge funds who've shot for 12, 14 weeks and not produced anything even remotely close to the quality of what you produced in 9 days. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm blown away that you created this in 9 days.
Listen, I gotta tell you, you can't. My head is growing from all the praise. You gotta keep me humble, man. You gotta tell me the movie sucks or something. Keep me humble.
The crazy thing is, I can't. And I'll be honest, when I went into watching this, as I said to you before, I've been offered pre-screenings of movies before, and I've watched them and kind of gone, oh, I can see you've tried really hard, and I appreciate the work you've put in, but it's just not very good. And when you sent it across, me and Mark both said, well, I wonder what this is going to be like. And within 2 minutes, we were messaging each other going, this is not what I expected. This is something else. And then when we get further through, I was convinced I knew where this was going. I was like, oh, I can see how this is going to end. I can see where this is going to change and where it's going to turn. And then it didn't. And I'm going, what's going on? And then when it did, you do get the big reveal that I'm not revealing because I want people to watch this when it goes to streaming. When you get that big reveal, I sat there and went, oh my God, that is not what I saw. I didn't predict that. At no point in the movie, even in the dying sort of last final 15 minutes, did I think that was where this was going. And you've done such a good job to mask and disguise that. Even the way you, Vincent, where you're set up as a certain character, and I expected your character to do a certain thing, and you don't do that. It goes completely the other way. It was such a good trick. You tricked me completely, hoodwinked me.
Hoodwinkers, MacGuffins, or what is that? Yeah. What's that term? Bring someone down one path, and then all of a sudden you change the path. What is that? What's that term? But there's some there's something, but yeah. And thank you. Well, again, it's that Bible, which is that script that's really to make your movie that original. You have the freedom to do that. And what David Liz, the director, did, he gave us the green light to be free and to explore these characters. And thank you so much. And I'm glad you were on that journey and it wasn't very predictable, because that's the fun of it. It's just like watching a movie and not knowing the outcome keeps you in suspense. And Alfred Hitchcock, all these people, that's what they did, is they kept people in suspense. I see in the distance some of these posters of Scream,
I love the posters, man.
And
yeah,
thank
Mark,
you very much.
when you went away, I was telling Scott, like, bro, those posters are dope, man.
Whenever you gentlemen come out to Hollywood, you have to come to the Hollywood Museum on Hollywood and Highland. They have the actual prison cell of Silence of the Lambs that they took from the set, and it's in the basement of the Hollywood Museum, which was formerly
incredible.
So it is really, really cool. Hannibal Lecter's hair and everything is there at the Hollywood Museum, Hollywood and Highland, Los Angeles. Yeah, so cool. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Continue.
No,
but it was amazing. Carry on.
Yeah.
What are your inspirations, David? Because I spotted quite a few. They're not in your face nods, but there's, for people who watch a lot of horror, there's a lot of things in there where I'm going, I can see that you like Halloween. I can see that you like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That there are elements where you get almost like an Exorcist vibe. That there's lots of things in there that are very subtle, and they're not slammed in your face. It's not done in a meta way. It's done in a very, I can see you appreciate other horror movies, and you've brought that across. I mean, what horror movies are the ones that really inspired you to do what you do?
Scott, that's a great question, and I'm glad that you brought up like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Those are definitely at the core of my inspiration when creating The Welder, but also the story of Frankenstein. I grew up reading Mary Shelley and watching all the iterations of Frankenstein and this over the years, and I'm a huge fan of the horror movies of the 80s and the 70s. I feel like when I was a kid, those are the movies. Of course, I grew up closer to that time, so that's what it was available, and so. But those movies really scared the crap out of me. Like I was scared to step outside and confront a Michael Myers or I mean when you're a kid, you start making these scenarios in your head that you're gonna get chased by one of these villains, and I would have nightmares that Jason was following me and I had to run. And anyways, so they really traumatized me, and I thank them for that, because they now as an adult, I can appreciate those movies, and I could sort of pay homage in little ways to them in my own work. But definitely I'm a big fan of the, I mean, I'm not saying that horror films nowadays are not the same. I think some of the more modern horror films that I like, and I even took inspiration from, was the movie Get Out, the Jordan Peele movie. There's definitely some inspiration there, especially when it comes to the issues of race and stuff like that, and how he handled it. I thought he did an amazing job, and I could only hope to have handled it 10% as good as he did. And I mean, it's just for me, I just wanted to rattle you from the beginning, with a big kill, or which is cool, and I can see a place for those kinds of films. But I just wanted to sort of have it build slowly, and have that reward at the end be that much sweeter when you see what happens, when everything really, and that's how you keep people guessing. If you reveal too much at the beginning, then you don't you don't really like know who the characters are, what their motivations are, why they're doing the things that they're doing. And so, you know, it just comes off as like cheesy, or and that's okay. Bash on anybody that likes that kind of horror. I like some. I have my guilty pleasure horror films like Freddy versus Jason, you know. But I wanted to make a slow burn film that had a good payoff at the end, and people could really watch it and say, hey, you know, this kind of reminds me of like those old films from like the 80s and the 70s. You know, that's kind of like where we were going, Manny and I, when we were writing it, what we had in mind.
And on a side note, for me, I love like films like The Goonies and Gremlins and stuff that are not necessarily horror films, but there's horror elements. And I love that. And I get inspiration from that. On a side note, also, I grew up in a horror home. And so I grew up, you know, in embalming rooms and all that. So I never really desired necessarily to do the horror genre because I grew up in a mortuary. And so for this to come onto my plate, I was like, what? I didn't expect this, but sure. I mean, I kind of understand what's going on because I'm, you know, I grew up in that environment. I've been into cemeteries and mausoleums and all of that. So yeah, so it was interesting.
No, Vince's backstory is amazing, especially for like eventually being cast in The Welder, having grown up like the son of a funeral director, right, Vince? And you were there as a young child with like the dead bodies and like, you know, helping your family with like the embalming process and putting them in the funeral carriages and all that. And so like, and I could see, because then Vince, for a while, you did a lot of like family movies, and I could see how you're trying to like separate yourself from that like morbid world until I came along and I was like, come back to horror, go into your roots, give me some of that fear that you felt as a child, and put it on screen as Dr. Godwin.
House where they shot The Exorcist was in Washington, D.C., 30 minutes from my home in Maryland, from our funeral home. And I saw the set of The Exorcist and all that. And just like, it was so prevalent. I was like, no, that's not the direction or the trajectory of my career. But who knows? I think that every actor should be able to take on a lot of different things, because what they may think is the best genre for them may not be. They may excel in a different genre. And so that's why I think actors should be open to all these different styles of films.
Which leads me into my next question. The way you ended The Welder, are we going to get a sequel? Because I want one.
I do too. I'll second that. Yeah, I'm up for more.
I will say this. I have the sequel completely outlined already. So I know exactly what's going to happen in the sequel. The film ends open-ended. You know, we could say that without saying too much. It's an open-ended type, you know, ending, and there's more story to be told, most definitely. And it gets so crazy, guys. If you liked The Welder, the sequel is just gonna blow your mind, because it just takes it to another level, man.
In The Welder, one thing that me and Mark picked up on is there wasn't really any subject or anything that you touched on that you shied away from. So you'll get lots of movies that will touch on race, or they will touch on something else, and they will literally just touch it and then leave it alone, because they don't. We live in a world now where everyone is so easily upset and offended. Right. And at no point in this movie did you pull any punches. You waded straight into race as hard as you could. And you done it in a way where you weren't just ramming a message down our throat, which I thought was wonderful. I
appreciate that a lot.
Done in a very good way, but you got your point across. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. That was a very hard subject to navigate, because like you said, people are very sensitive to this subject. But I thought that it was an important, very important subject to tackle in the horror field. I mean, like you said, you don't see this very often. You don't see race being incorporated into a horror film very often, or like and with real world type issues, right? Like it's usually like, oh, you know, there's a poltergeist in the house, and you know, we just look at the family dynamics of the person, the house, the family that lives in that house, and that's it. We don't get into any sort of like world issues or world topics that are pretty universal, like race and racism and all this. We wanted our horror film to have a message, and without saying too much, because like I'm very I fall into like saying too much about the film, into that pit, because I'm so passionate about it, and I love the movie so much that I start saying too much, but trying not to say too much about it. Having a message in the film was important, but I just didn't want it to feel like I was ramming it down the audience's throat, like so overtly obvious that it was cringy. I just didn't want that. I wanted it to be there. I wanted it to be a factor, and I wanted it to be at the same time natural. I wanted to feel natural. And so Manny and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where that balance was. And I think when some people watch it, maybe some people will think we went too far. Other people may feel like you guys do, like, no, it was right there. And then maybe some people might not even think that it was, but I mean, it's a movie about at its core race, right? So how do you tell a story about race without it feeling like we're trying to like shove a message down your throat, a message that you as an audience member may or may not agree with, or I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I think that it's told within a horror a context. So it's we offer a unpractical solution that's clearly not gonna take over. It's not gonna be something that's gonna happen in the real world, and that's okay. That's what happens when you go crazy. You start coming up with some crazy ideas, and that's what Godwin did, right? He came up with some crazy ideas that aren't practical, but they made sense to him. I don't know if I answered your question, but it's hard to like talk about that without like
without giving it all away.
Yeah, we've felt that a little bit with our spoiler-free review. We've talked as much as we possibly can about this film without divulging too much information, because we feel it's important that people see this for what it is. One of the greatest things about our experience with it was the build-up, was the initial reveal, and obviously we don't want to give that away for anybody. We want everybody to see it with fresh eyes as much as we have, as well as talking about it. So it's been quite difficult to talk about without diving down that rabbit hole too much. So I get where you're coming from with that.
I appreciate that, Mark. Yeah, because like our film really, like when you think about it, it's a low budget film. Like it has like limited locations. Like it doesn't have like like a million locations or anything like that. And we don't have Brad Pitt, although we have someone just as handsome as him, Vince, of course. But we don't have like a huge name. So like so we're missing a lot of the things that traditionally attract people to a film. But what we do have is a really cool story that keeps you guessing and then pays off at the end. And I think at its core, that's what you really want in a film. At least that's what I really want. I just made a movie that I want to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
One question Mark had that I know he toyed with asking and has dipped and dived around it, and is a question that he asks a lot in horror movies. So I'm going to let Mark ask the question that he wants to know.
Are we talking about the weed conversation here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a particular scene in which the two characters are smoking weed by the pool. We see this happen a lot in films, not just in horror films, but in films in general. Are you smoking weed on set?
No, we weren't.
Would you even tell us if you were?
Yes, absolutely.
No, we weren't.
We were not. Cannabis sativa is a very, very good thing, and it's very relaxing, and I support it. I was at the Oscar gifting suite, I think 2 years ago, and they gave us little canisters of cannabis to the actors, and it's something that is legal in LA. There's a place called MedMen. It's just that on our set, just so that we could work efficiently, we didn't smoke cannabis. We just kept on drinking spring water and doing things to hydrate. The cannabis would have been nice for some of the people, but we only did it in that scene just for that moment, just to show the true kind of layers of these characters.
Mark, that's a great question. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we had such a short period to film that like we couldn't afford to get our actors high for real, because then they couldn't like jump into the next scene.
Yeah.
But we had like, Javi, who was our UPM, he like was in charge of like getting like the tobacco that lights up like weed, and like he rolled it in white paper, which actually I didn't like the fact that he rolled it in white paper. I wanted it to be like brown paper, so it looked more like a joint. But whatever. At the end of the day, you get the idea. They're smoking weed or whatever. But no, not on this set. We did not have the luxury of time
because Ro really performed as if they were smoking weed, which was great. I mean, I thought that they were genius in that.
Oh, it was very convincing. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Well, that's them because they're really quite talented. I couldn't have had assembled a more amazing cast. I mean, David and Manny and everyone, they put together all of us. And I had never met any of the other cast members ever. And all of a sudden, there was this really great Christian Howard, everyone. There was such a great relationship and bond and a camaraderie that once we started shooting, it was just like boom, 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 boom. And that has to do with, 90% of movie making is the casting. Once you cast the chemistry, then everything else is great.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask because the chemistry between you all felt so strong. I did want to know whether any of you knew any of each other prior to filming. I mean, is this all a new experience for you all, or do any of you have connections?
David was the director that I worked with prior years before. And then after I finished working with David, I worked with a series of other directors in LA, Malta, Wales, as I was telling you. I did a movie in Italy and so forth. And then years later, he came back and says, hey, I have the script. And then he sent it to me. And then he sent me the pictures of the other cast members, and I never met them before. And then all of a sudden, it was like such a quick shorthand. We all became friends. And to this day, we all call each other and talk. And it's a great vibe. We were at the Fort Lauderdale International Film Festival, and we were there together. It was really great. I went to Rain Dance in London, and the Rain Dance Film Festival had an amazing, amazing welcoming reception. And we had a great party and so forth at Rain Dance. And it was just really nice. And, we're always like sending messages back and forth on Instagram and social media. And we're now to this day all friends. So this is a good thing. And David put us all together. So thank you, David.
Oh, you're welcome, Vince.
So it should be pretty easy for you all to get together for the sequel then.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't know because we don't know who died. So audiences are going to have to watch it to see who dies, see who comes back. But I did want to take a moment and talk about the other actors too, how they came onto the project. Camila Rodriguez, who plays Elisa, she was in another movie called Huracán. And Javier Manny? Now when they watch this, they're gonna be like, "It was me." No, it was me. I don't remember. I think it was Javier. And another friend of ours went to the Miami Film Festival. We saw this movie, and I saw Camila acting in this movie, and I'm like, "What? That girl's so good." And so then I remembered when, the script was in the process of being written. I'm like, maybe this girl we can use and we can audition her. But she just had the right look. I just thought she looked right. I thought her acting was fantastic in the movie. So when we auditioned her, I just knew immediately. She came prepared. She came with a 3-ring binder with she had read the script. She had outlined, what the part where she was going to audition for. I mean, she was just so prepared, so ready, and we loved her from the beginning. And then when we had Ro Dunkley, Manny Delgadillo, and I had worked with him on several other projects. And on short films, and we just loved him. His like, you know, nonchalant, kind of like cool guy vibe, and like I just like the way he looked, like his aesthetic, everything about him. We just loved the role so much. So we didn't even audition him. We're like, hey, you're gonna be in the movie. As a matter of fact, his name is Ro in the movie. That's his real name. You know, like we wrote it for him. So it was that was a no-brainer. And then we had Christian Howard, who plays Vincent's assistant, Don. And you know, the thing about Chris is that he's such a talented character actor, and this character came to him so naturally, like the weird sort of, like, you know, he just did it so well. Like as soon as he opened his mouth during the audition, I'm like, man, I think this is Don. Like this is good. Like this, and very nice guy, and you know, he has like the piercing like blue eyes, so like, you know, it just like everything it came together so. And then, as a matter of fact, I shouldn't talk about AJ Anthony, because that kind of like plays into as I love you, Anthony, I'm not going to mention you too much in this because the movie is not out yet, and you know, it kind of like, I don't want to say too much, I don't want to ruin it for people, but he's an old friend, and he's just a beast of a man, and I'm just so happy he was able to participate in the movie. But you know, that's the rest of the, well, and also we had George Pico, who plays the Uber driver. Him and I used to do comedy sketches since 2011, and he's a really good friend as well. So that, you know, that's how the cast came together. And like Vince was saying, we still keep in touch. We still see ourselves like as a little family, and we're just really excited to have worked on The Welder, and we're excited to see where it goes.
Obviously, The Welder is not out yet.
Not
what
yet.
Can you tell us about when it's coming? Because I've been very vague and said in the summer. Do you have more information than in the summer?
Not exactly. We don't have much more information than that. We are in the process right now we're about to sign with a company, and you know, they say never say the things in advance, because then things might fall through or whatever. But we're about to sign with a distributor, and the idea would be that we would be releasing for streaming probably in the summer. That's all I could say. And most likely, like, that's what it seems like. You know, this indie filmmaking world, it's like, you know, sometimes, and they can move your film back or forward, and I don't want to like set false expectations for the audience, but trust me, guys, you're not gonna regret waiting for this. It's quite a thrill, and it's quite a journey that all the characters go through. Just like you guys were saying, like, nobody's the same at the end as they were at the beginning. And that's what's quite interesting about this, right? It's almost like and because there's so few characters, it's almost like a character study of like these people, like watching them sort of like the things that happen around them and how they change and adapt. And, you know, it's quite interesting.
But it's great because we're on the other side there in the UK, and here we're, you know, 3,000 miles away here in the States. And I love it. We're that much closer during a very difficult time in the world with, you know, Russia and Kiev, Ukraine, that, you know, unity is the answer. And I think that's most
That sounds
important.
like a line from The Welder. Unity is the answer.
That should be the tagline.
Weld together as one.
I know, we all.
Yeah. You know what? That could be the tagline. Well, let's get rid of the one that we have now. We're all red inside. We'll just go to unity is the answer. I like that.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give you guys some credits in the movie for suggesting that.
So at the end of the day, that's what. So while folks are waiting to watch The Welder, if they like to see some other films, I am in a film called Love on the Rock that we shot in Malta. It's on all platforms and also on pureflix.com. My co-stars are John Lovitz, Stephen Bauer of Scarface and Better Call Saul, and Ray Donovan, David Ayer White, Matthew Marsden from the UK. The list goes on. So that's Love on the Rock, and also Secret Society with Vivica Fox and Jeremy Meeks, Erica Pinkett, and Raina Love. and Taylor Hopkins, and what else? There's a few other titles, so they can watch those. And then when Welder comes out, we'll all have a fun viewing party, and we can do a post about it. I will be going to the Cannes Film Festival this May, and I'm going to be looking at a lot of film then. I hope you all will come to Cannes. It's May 17th to the 27th, and you'll meet a lot of other filmmakers. And there's a lot of exciting things going on. But the one thing is that hopefully we take away from all this is that for me, I'm now a firm believer that horror films are essential in every day. These films are not just something that scare us or frighten us, but they're making us think more. And this one is definitely a thought-provoking, poignant movie, The Welder. And I'm very honored to have been in it. And I'm very honored to have been directed by David Liz. So that's the one thing that I like to take away from it. And thank you both for caring so much about this film and liking it so much. I know you watch a lot of films, and thank you for liking this film with this subject matter.
Well, thank you guys for sharing it with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, we both equally watched it 3 times now and enjoyed it every single time we've watched it. So thanks for getting us involved. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. And I will be doing a recap on this when it comes out. So we will stay in touch. And when it's due for release, tell me. And we will do, again, we will give it a big push, because everyone needs to see it. It really is good. And it really shocked me how good it was. I've watched so many horror movies and so many independent horror movies, and there are so few that shock me and that come across as well as The Welder. And people need to see it, because it's of such a high level. And the fact you shot it in 9 days is absolutely insane. How did you manage that?
Hey guys, before we go, I definitely just want to touch on one other element about the movie that we had discussed earlier, the music.
Yes.
I know that you guys had mentioned that you thought the music was like it captures you from the first scene, right?
Yeah.
The droning sounds. And I just wanted to shout out our composer, James Hall. He lives in London. He's from London. And actually, I don't know if he's from London, but he was living in London when we were working. And he, when I told him the concept of what I envisioned for the music, and, I told him a little bit about the movie, and he got so into it that he went to like a local welder shop, and he spent the whole day there recording sounds, recording the drones of all the machinery, the torch, and like getting just all of those sounds. Funny thing is that, the welders, they got to wear a mask, because as they're welding things, that torch, it's so bright that it can damage your eyesight. Well, James, he didn't really know that. He's a music guy. He doesn't know much about, welding or anything like that. Well, he was staring right into the torch. The guy goes blind for 3 days. He thought he was going to be blind forever. He had already resigned to the fact that he was just going to be blind from now on. But luckily, he got his sight back after 3 days, and he was just such a dedicated guy. And he made such a he did such a great job on the music, alongside with Umberto Gardini, who did the violins. He did all the strings.
I know.
He's from Italy. He did a great job as well, and we're just very thankful for that.
Yeah, it's a very poetic horror film, I have to say. It's
very. You guys should be proud. You've done a phenomenal job. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Mark. Thank you.
If individuals would like to know more about it, they can follow us on Instagram, and then our website is what, David, please?
I prefer people to go to our Instagram at the Welder Film. That's like where people can see our posts and sort of keep up with what we're doing. And also, before we go, I want to just give a huge shout out to Cindo Santos, who's our executive producer. He believed in the movie from the moment we pitched it to him. We're so appreciative to him for financing this and allowing the vision to come to life. If it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for his dad being a welder, this movie would never have existed. So thank you, Cindo. Thank you to your dad up in heaven. that allowed this movie to be made. And it's just like, once we when I feel like I should write a book about like how this movie came to be, because so many serendipitous things happened along the way, like from getting the financing to like, Ro, he got arrested like the day before we were supposed to start filming for, I mean, like we got our car robbed for all of like most of our equipment 3 days before filming. Like somebody went into our car and like stole our stuff. I mean, the amount of things that happened up until the first day of film. Oh, the production car didn't start on the first day. Like the truck that had all the stuff, we had to like take everything out of the truck and put it into 3 cars and then drive down. I mean, like, but once we started filming, it was just clockwork. It was boom, 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 and we didn't let anything stop us. We were like so determined. It was like hyper focused. It was like the only thing that mattered beyond our health, it was getting this movie done. And so I'm just like, every day I'm in awe and so thankful to everyone involved that allowed this vision to come to life, man. It's just it's pretty crazy.
Testament to determination, and I think that's really wonderful. Wow, so cool. Well, guys, they're waving me to step away, but I want to say what a wonderful time to speak with everyone. And Vincent De Paul 12 on Instagram. You can send me messages whenever you want, and I'd love to hear from everybody after this. And I'm wishing everyone peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Vincent.
Appreciate you, man.
Likewise. I'm signing off. Take care, everyone. Ciao.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye, Vince. We took him away from his movie for a little while. I'm glad that the production wasn't too. They didn't seem to be like stepping into the shot or anything. Like, hey, hurry up, man, we gotta go.
Yeah, no, they were good. They gave him a lot longer than he said he was going to have. So that's
we've had it for a good hour, so we've done well.
Are we at an hour already?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Man, but no, I mean,
it's gone by too quick. It's gone by too fast. I swear. No.
Before you go, I want to once again congratulate you on such a stunning movie. Visually, cinematography, directorial is outstanding. It is
Thank you, Scott.
One of the standout movies I've seen this year, without a doubt.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's like, what every director wants to hear. So. Thank you, man. Like, and I'm so bad at receiving like positive, words about my work, just because I'm just like this guy that loves movies and have always loved movies. I just want to make movies. I went to film school though. Like, I'm not just like a guy that, off the street that likes movies. I've been pursuing this for a long time. So I definitely feel validated to, have you guys watch the film, enjoy it, and speak so highly of it, man. It's really just very humbling to hear this. And I hope that the whole world agrees with you.
I'm pretty sure, knowing the vast or a good chunk of the audience who reach out to me and the things they like and the things they dislike, there tends to be a general consensus. We don't like knowing what's coming in a horror movie, which instantly means they are going to like The Welder because you don't know what's coming.
No, not all.
Thank you so much for joining us, David. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Scott, Mark, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys giving a little bit of a spotlight to The Welder, especially now, at this point, before it's out in the world. This is a very special podcast because this is really the first in 2022, right before the movie is out in the world. So it's kind of exciting. It's a very exciting thing to be a part of this podcast right before the movie comes out. And I just want to thank you guys. You guys have been gracious hosts, amazing questions. Thank you so much for caring about watching movies and really analyzing them and asking thoughtful questions, because that's so important. This was not a cookie cutter interview. this was, I could tell that you guys really put in the time and watched the film and analyzed it and had really good questions. So just for that, I'm very grateful and thankful.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, man. See you soon.
My pleasure. Take care, guys.
A huge thank you to David and Vincent for taking the time to come on the show and talk about The Welder. I feel incredibly selfish that I have seen this movie and all of you haven't. And even worse so that I've seen it so early and you have to wait another 4 or 5 months before you get to see it. I'm going to get over that. Because there's a little bit more that I want to touch on before we go. So the first thing I'm going to touch on is on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre bonus episode, we found out that Marc hates old ladies who've had any plastic surgery of any type done. He also generalized the entirety of Texas in a very stereotypical way. But more important than that, he made a statement that wasn't true.
Really?
You did.
That doesn't sound like me.
No, it was a very, very, very factually inaccurate statement. And it got spotted, and I'm going to highlight it for you now. So you responded to a comment that Elise made. So Elise went, well, some of us have to take on a quiz. And I quote, yeah, I'm co-host now, so that shit doesn't apply to me anymore.
I don't like the direction this conversation's taking.
So, Marc, it's time to get a broken spirit.
Ah, motherfucker.
I told you, I want to play a game.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood.
The power of Christ compels you!
What have you done to its eyes?
Well, it's elevated horror.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
You're going to like it.
I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
How was that the slaughterhouse?
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Oh, I know this one, you fuck.
Oh, no way. Are we actually doing this right now?
Yeah.
Why do you keep doing this to me?
I will let you get me later in the season.
Yeah, and I will get you. Just know that I will get you.
I know. And as your co-host, you can drop that in whenever you feel like it. So I know it's coming.
I was super relaxed tonight as well. I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, I like being on the other end of this. This is great.
I will be surprised if you get far through this. It's hard, but purposely hard.
Right. I don't feel like I've got anything to prove anymore. So I feel like I can just wing it, set the bar low, and see how everybody else gets on. I'm saying that like I'm purposefully going to set the bar low. I'm going to do my best. But if I set the bar low, I'm going to claim that I've done it on purpose.
So Broken Spirit is the new quiz for season 5. The whole reason that Marc is taking this on is actually, believe it or not his comments he made. It was a conversation I had with Lady Crisis. So Lady Crisis come on season 3 and was the guinea pig for our quiz and didn't want to come on to season 5 and be the guinea pig again. So between us, we come up with the idea that it would be a really good idea to make Marc the guinea pig instead.
I'm glad I didn't give her the book now.
So the new quiz for season 5 is Broken Spirit. There are 15 questions. Some of them are true or false questions. Some of them are multiple choice. Some of them are just, I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to give me an answer. You get 10 points for every question you get correct. Get as many correct as you can. If you get an answer wrong, your points drop to 0. You can walk away from the quiz at any time with the points you have.
You know how I behave in quizzes.
There are no save me's, there's no purges, there's no support whatsoever. It's just you and your horror knowledge versus 15 questions.
Okay.
So
I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Here we go. We'll start off with a true or false. So question number 1. True or false? Michael Myers stabbed and killed Judith Myers Halloween night 1963.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to say I'm just going to guess what I've got to lose. True.
It is true, correct. that would have been a devastating start to the new career.
I was just thinking then, I was like, how old was he? And then when did he get released? And then 1973 didn't add up. The film came out in 1978, and then my mind just went blank, so I just winged it.
Question number 2. This is multiple choice. How many Friday the 13th movies are there, including Freddy vs. Jason, the remake, and Jason X? 11, 12, 13, or 14?
Oh, you know I don't watch Friday the 13th. What we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. I know there's 5. And then there's... So if we can say that there's 5. Hell Takes New York, remake, Jason X. I'm at about 10 or 11, but I feel like not knowing the franchise enough, I've maybe missed one. I don't know how many parts there are before he goes to Hell or Manhattan. I'm going to up it. I'll go 12, just 12.
12, sure?
No. Yes, I think.
Yeah. Okay, it's 10 points. You're on 20 points.
Nice.
Question number 3. A hark back to a very old quiz. Horror, not horror. So
I like this one.
This is, all you need to do is tell me if this is from a horror movie or not from a horror movie. To die, to really be dead, that must be glorious. Is that horror or not horror?
Again, another guess. I feel like if I was to pick the film it was from, sounds like a Pinhead thing, maybe an Evil Dead thing. I'm going to say horror.
It's horror, it's correct. You were miles off on the style of film there. It's from Dracula, 1931.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that either, so.
Question number 4. This is just a straight question. Who wrote Silence of the Lambs?
Thomas Harris. I have read it. I love that film. And I love the book as well.
That's correct. It's 40 points. Question number 5. What horror movie would you find the character Jonathan Harker?
What, is that just a straight question?
That is a straight question.
You
would also find the character Mina Harker.
Mina. Why do I know Mina?
It's very hard. I will help you slightly. Jonathan Harker was played by Johnny Depp. No, he wasn't. That's a complete fucking lie. He was played by Keanu Reeves. I apologise.
Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves doesn't do many horror. He's done Dracula, which was probably one of his worst ever performances. Oh man, he was so bad in that film, wasn't he? Poor Keanu, that was dreadful from him. Mina, that rings a bell. You wouldn't have gone 2 Dracula questions in the same quiz, would you? Or would you? You'd have done that to me on purpose. Dracula, it's the only horror film I can think he's in.
Yeah, you gonna go with that?
He's in that other one where the 2 girls knock on his door and bury him in the garden, but I don't think his wife's in that. Mina's got to be his wife. Does he get married? Yeah, I'm just going to go Dracula. I think that's the only horror film I can think of.
That's correct. It's 50 points. It was Bram Stoker's Dracula, and yeah, it was definitely Keanu Reeves and not Johnny Depp.
As soon as you said Johnny Depp, my immediate answer was going to be Sleepy Hollow then as well. Yeah. I was like, yeah.
What actor played Hooper in Jaws 1975?
What's his name?
That's the question, yeah.
What is his name?
Sounds like you're rustling notes.
No, I'm not rustling notes. I'm just slightly swiveling my chair to look at something that doesn't have anything that I wanted it to have on it.
And that's the punishment you get for cheating.
Who's in Jaws? Who was in Jaws? Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw. Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw. Roy Schneider. Could be any of those. Who was the character?
They are the 3 actors. You picked the 3 actors on the boat, so congratulations.
But who plays who is the question.
Yeah, I want to know the actor who plays Hooper.
Is he the beach officer guy? It's been so long since I've seen that film. Is he the main guy? You're not even going to tell me.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Hooper. Is he the old fisherman? Is that Hooper?
You got the option of taking a guess. You know the 3 actors, so you've narrowed it down to 3. So you could take a guess, or you can walk away with your 50 points.
Is that, I'm out to 50?
Yeah.
Man, this quiz is brutal as fuck. Right. I think Richard Dreyfuss is the main guy. I think. I want to say Robert Shaw, but I feel like I would be wrong. I'm going to go Roy Schneider. Lock it in.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
That was hard, man. Which one was it?
It was Richard Dreyfuss played Hooper.
I thought he was a main dude.
So Mark, you have scored 0 points.
Hey!
And the most frustrating thing, question 7 is a Rob Zombie question, which you would have instantly loved.
Can I try it out anyway and see what it was?
You can try out question 7, yeah. What is Rob Zombie's current project?
He's working on the Munsters.
See,
I would have been flying then.
Yeah, you'd have got that one. I think you'd have stumbled after that. But, well, first time out for our new quiz, and it broke your spirit. You got.
I don't think I'm going to be the only one sitting on 0 with that quiz at all.
The thing is, you've set the bar at 0. So if Lady Crisis gets the first 2 questions correct and walks away, she beats you.
Yeah, she won't do that. I feel like she'll go for it.
She
mean, like I said, I set the bar low on purpose. I feel like I was getting too far on in the quiz. We were in question 7. I thought, I'm going to have to dip out now before I start.
I'm more upset that I wrote 15 questions and only needed 7.
Oh dear. Never mind.
Mark, 0 points. Nil point. Moving into season 5, because this is the 3rd bonus episode this season. Things have changed in season. Yeah, I'm churning them out. Things have changed. Mark is co-host, so this is the last one that I'm kind of gonna guide, and from here on in, it's going to be a bit more 50-50. Mark's got some features that he's taken over, some stuff that he's going to be running. We're going to review movies like we always do. There's going to be polls. It's the same show, but with me and Mark. First episode back. We're coming in strong. Lady Crisis is back.
Yes, I'm excited. It's going to be fun for me, because we've got quite a few returning guests from previous seasons, people who I've listened to and listened to the episodes. I thought, oh, that's cool. And now I'm actually getting to do the show with them. So I'm really excited for season 5. I'm excited to see which direction it takes. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And the first movie back is It Chapter 1.
Yeah, that is going to be some very extensive notes for that film. It's very long.
It is a very long film, and I'm not going to give it away. I might love it, I might hate it. Wait and see in season 5. We're back 29th of March, so a bit of a break between now and then. I want to round this episode off by thanking David, Liz, and Vincent De Paul again for coming on the show. Thank them again for creating a movie that is the first movie that took me by surprise. I didn't know where it was going. It's not happened in such a long time. I watch movies now, the new Scream, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of these films that come out and they get churned out year after year. I pretty much know where they're going. And this one, I didn't have a fucking clue.
They've done something pretty good here. I'm excited to see fan response to it and listener response as well. I mean, people who are obviously listening to the show and listening to this episode, they're certainly going to go out and watch this. I'm sure. So yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing what everybody's feedback is on this and how they interpreted it the way we did.
Yeah, and I will give you updates, or we will give you updates throughout the season. So when this does come out, it will come out probably mid-season of season 5. We'll tell you when it's out. We'll remind you to go and watch it. And then please get in touch. DM one of us, DM me, DM Mark. Call into the show. This is your show. Tell us what you think. I want to know what you think about the movies we review. But again, a huge thank you to them. Thank you to everyone who's listened all throughout all the seasons. Everyone who listened to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode, that was phenomenal numbers straight out of the gate. I've never seen an episode take off so quickly. And then everyone who listened to the awards episode, and congratulations to everyone who won an award.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, and congratulations you won Guest of the Year, and now you're co-host, and now you need to do all the work.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. I'll be here every week, and that's about as much as I can offer.
Yeah, which, to be fair, was one of the things I was looking for in a co-host, someone who could do it every week.
Right, well, there you go. Job list ticked.
Mark, I'm going to let you sign off the show and say goodbye for us.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you in season 5.
You want to die tonight?
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the You Run podcast. Don't forget to get involved in the show. All you need to do is head to our website, yourunpodcast.com.
This is not our show. This is your show.